Hi, everybody, and welcome to Alex Erm's Clips. Cheating on your partner is one of the toughest things anyone can go through. But sometimes the affair is just the tip of the iceberg, and what happens next is where the real story begins. The main character of our tale, after discovering his wife's infidelity, found himself facing a series of shocking revelations. It wasn't until he saw how his wife reacted to her own betrayal that he truly understood the kind of person he had been living with all these years. I'm not entirely sure how to begin this story. It's long, painful, and still very raw for me. After 17 years of marriage, I discovered my wife had been cheating on me. The emotional toll it has taken on me is beyond words. This story is my way of processing what has happened, and perhaps in doing so, I can find some clarity. We've been married for 16 and a half years, but our story together spans 21 years. When I first met my wife, she was the kindest, most compassionate woman I'd ever known. From the moment I laid eyes on her, I knew she was going to be my wife. It wasn't just love at first sight. It was a certainty, a conviction that we were meant to be together. And for many years, we were happy. We had 2 children who quickly became the center of our world. Life wasn't always easy, but we made it work. We were a team, and I believed that nothing could tear us apart. After the birth of our second child, however, things began to change. My wife grew distant, and there was a heaviness in her demeanor that I couldn't quite place. I suspected she was struggling with depression, but she refused to seek help. She suggested couples counseling, but at the time, we were in the middle of a financial crisis. I was working 4 jobs and running a side business just to keep us afloat. We couldn't afford counseling, and even if we could, I wasn't sure it would help since she wouldn't talk to me about what was wrong. When I asked her, she'd always respond with, "I don't know." Her mood swings were unpredictable. Sometimes she was the woman I fell in love with, but other times she was cold and mean. Once we were back on our feet financially, I begged her to go to counseling with me. She agreed, but I don't think she liked it. The therapist echoed my concerns, telling her that it was impossible to help her if she didn't know what was wrong. Eventually, my wife said she needed more help around the house, which I gladly provided. I was working 3 jobs at the time, but I still made sure to vacuum, empty the dishwasher, help with the laundry, take out the trash, and keep the house tidy. For a while, things improved, but then the darkness returned, and she became even meaner, especially toward our daughter. One day, I pulled her aside and told her that while I would never divorce her and would do whatever it took to make our marriage work, I couldn't stand by and watch her take out her anger on our daughter. I offered her a choice. We could continue working on our marriage, or we could divorce. The next day, she told me she wanted to try to make it work. For a few years, things were better. She even saw a doctor and was prescribed antidepressants, though she insisted on taking the lowest possible dose. But by 2020, the mean streak had returned with a vengeance. The way she spoke to me was filled with disdain, and there was a look of disgust on her face whenever I was around. It hurt deeply. While our sex life had always been good, she began withholding it when she was in one of her moods. Despite the many temptations I faced as a bartender, I remained faithful to her. Even my sister assumed I must have been cheating, because she knew how long it had been since my wife and I had been intimate. I told her I'd never do that, and I meant it. Then, last month, after attending a wedding, we were staying at a hotel. I had hoped we might reconnect, but instead, she told me flat out that she didn't want me and thought we should get divorced. We agreed to hold off until after the holidays for the sake of the kids, but that night, I lay in bed for 3 hours with tears streaming down my face. I thought that was the worst pain I would ever feel. But I was wrong. A week later, she attended a party for our daughter's softball team. When she wasn't home by midnight, I checked our Life 360 app and saw that she was at an Applebee's. I thought it was odd since Applebee's closes at midnight, but I figured she had met a friend for a drink. When she finally got home, I asked her where she had been, and she said she went to a bar with some people from the party. She never mentioned Applebee's, which struck me as strange. A couple of days later, she told me her boss had required her to put a password on her phone due to work emails. That's when I started getting suspicious. Today, her mom called and asked if I could help move a rug. After I finished helping, I checked the Life 360 app again to see if she had left work. She had, so I decided to try something. My wife has a habit of talking on the phone while she drives. So I called her. She was short with me and said she had to go because she was talking to her mom, but her mom was standing right in front of me. When she got home, I asked her how her mom was, and as she was telling me, I mentioned that I had seen her today. Her face dropped. She tried to come up with some excuses, but eventually she admitted she had been seeing someone else for a few months. We had agreed to wait until after the holidays to divorce, but she had already moved on. I was shell-shocked. 10 minutes after her confession, she was acting like nothing had happened. I don't know if she was trying to keep up appearances for the kids or if she genuinely didn't care that she had shattered my world. I suspect it was the latter. I couldn't talk to anyone about what had happened because we had decided to keep the divorce a secret until after the holidays, so our kids wouldn't find out. That night, we had to go to a Christmas village, and I spent the entire evening with a smile plastered on my face, pretending everything was fine. My kids knew something was wrong with me, but assumed I was just in a bad mood. My son even asked, "Dad, are you okay? You sound hurt." I didn't know what to say. The prospect of divorce was already overwhelming. I've lost 20 pounds in the past month without even trying, and I'm terrified of losing the house I've spent the last 15 years paying off. On top of that, I'm going to owe her at least $40,000 in equity. It's going to be painful, but I think I can manage it. I was finally starting to mentally prepare myself for the divorce when this betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. In the last month, she's hurt me more than I ever thought possible. I don't even recognize the woman I married anymore. My daughter is going to be devastated when we tell her about the divorce, but I don't know if I should tell her about the affair. I don't want her to hate her mom. I'm lost, confused, stressed beyond belief, and heartbroken. When I look at my wife, she seems completely indifferent to my pain. It's been 3 months since I found out about the affair, and it's been a roller coaster of emotions. I got a lot of advice from people online, and I decided to follow my gut on how to proceed. It's going okay, though we're not done yet. A week after my initial discovery, I found out the guy's name. She was sending a Facebook message on her computer, and I managed to catch a glimpse of it. Apparently, their main way of communicating is through Facebook, most likely because he's married with 3 kids. Oh, and he's also a doctor and rich. Another punch in the gut for a guy like me, who's been working 3 jobs to make ends meet. On Christmas, I found out that she had already told her entire family, along with my sister and cousins, that we were divorcing. Meanwhile, I had told no one out of fear it would get back to the kids before the holidays were over. Her mom was furious and thought she was making the biggest mistake of her life. My sister and her best friend felt the same way. But she didn't care. And, of course, she conveniently left out the part about her cheating. I couldn't talk to her mom on Christmas because she was already starting to cry, and I didn't want to tip off the kids, so I arranged to speak to her a few days later. The next day, my wife and I sat down and talked. I told her I didn't want her seeing the guy again until everything was finalized. It was disrespectful, and if she wanted to be with him, she needed to wait until our divorce was complete. She agreed. We also discussed how to split things up. I think I did okay. No alimony, no child support, 50/50th custody, and we both supply clothes for the kids. Everything else is split equally. I'm keeping the house, but have to pay her $43,000 in equity. In the end, she walked away with about $40,000. She owes her dad $110,000, has an 800 credit score, and is debt-free, all thanks to me. When I finally spoke to her mom, she confessed that when she found out we were divorcing, she had been praying every day for me to cheat because she knew that's the only way her daughter would take me back. But then she found out her daughter was the one who cheated and was even angrier with her. It was bittersweet to hear, knowing that someone was in my corner. For now, we're keeping the 50/50th custody arrangement. If the guy does eventually leave his wife for my ex, I plan to take them back to court to get full custody. I hope it doesn't come to that, though. Thanks for reading if you made it this far. I appreciate any advice, especially on how to support my kids through this transition. I'm still in shock, but I'm trying to stay strong for them. So, dear friends, if you're enjoying these stories, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more juicy relationship tales. Thanks for your support.